Is John Deere's decision to move production to Mexico a betrayal of American workers? Or is it simply a strategic move to stay competitive in a rapidly changing global economy? This is the question that has ignited a fierce battle, one that has not only caught the attention of the agricultural industry, but also raised political stakes, as the legendary American tractor giant made waves with its controversial decision. Former President Donald Trump reacted with fiery rhetoric, threatening massive tariffs and stirring up a storm of public debate. In mid-2024, John Deere, a company synonymous with American farming and industrial machinery, made a bold move that would have far-reaching consequences. The company announced plans to shift production of certain equipment, including skid steer loaders and compact track loaders, from its U.S. factories to a new facility in Mexico. This decision, part of a broader strategy to optimize operations and cut costs, was directly linked to a slowdown in the agricultural equipment market. In total, over 800 employees in Illinois and Iowa were laid off, with the company planning to complete the transition by 2026. As news of this decision spread, it quickly sparked outrage among those who saw it as a betrayal of the American workforce. Donald Trump, ever the vocal critic of corporate outsourcing, was one of the first to respond publicly at a campaign-style rally in western Pennsylvania in September 2024. Trump lashed out at John Deere, condemning the company for abandoning its American roots. He accused the company of turning its back on the workers who had supported it for generations. The former president, who had made bringing jobs back to the U.S. a cornerstone of his political platform, vowed to impose a 200% tariff on all John Deere products imported into the United States. This bold declaration was intended to punish the company for outsourcing production and to send a message to other corporations considering similar moves. Trump's words resonated with many of his supporters, particularly in regions that rely heavily on manufacturing and agriculture. For these individuals, John Deere's decision felt like a direct challenge to the principles of American labor and industry. They viewed the company's move as yet another example of globalization undermining domestic jobs. Trump's call to boycott John Deere products quickly gained traction, with hashtags like #DeereDisloyal trending across social media. The backlash was swift, and the political implications of the controversy were profound. However, the situation was far from black and white. Critics of Trump's proposed tariffs warned that such measures could backfire, leading to higher costs for farmers and consumers. While the intention was to protect American workers, the reality of the situation was more complex. Tariffs on John Deere's products could lead to price hikes for agricultural machinery, burdening small farmers and potentially harming the very workers that Trump aimed to protect. This ignited a heated debate about the trade-offs between protecting domestic jobs and maintaining affordable prices for consumers. As the controversy unfolded, it didn't take long for political figures on both sides of the aisle to seize the opportunity to advance their own agendas. Trump's allies framed the issue as an example of corporate greed, arguing that companies benefiting from American labor and markets should remain loyal to the country. They viewed John Deere's move as emblematic of a broader trend in which multinational corporations prioritize profits over the interests of the American worker. On the other hand, Democratic leaders defended John Deere's decision, framing it as a necessary response to global economic pressures. They emphasized that businesses must have the flexibility to make strategic decisions to ensure their long-term survival in an increasingly competitive global market. The dispute also raised important questions about the future of American manufacturing. Some Democratic leaders highlighted the need for comprehensive policies to support workers affected by such corporate decisions, including retraining programs and economic assistance. They argued that while it was important to support domestic manufacturing, it was equally crucial to recognize the realities of a globalized economy, where companies must adapt to evolving market conditions and regulatory pressures. The political ramifications of John Deere's decision were felt across the spectrum, especially in agricultural states where farming is a significant part of the economy. Lawmakers in these regions tailored their messages to resonate with their constituents, addressing concerns about job preservation and economic modernization. In an election year, the stakes were high, and the controversy quickly became a political battleground, with each side leveraging the issue to gain support from key voters. In response to the growing political pressure, John Deere's leadership found itself in a difficult position. The company was forced to weigh the potential repercussions of Trump's proposed tariffs on its products, especially given the large market share it holds in the agricultural industry. The decision to move production to Mexico was not made lightly. It was part of a broader strategy to remain competitive in a challenging global market. However, the company's commitment to American manufacturing was being questioned, and the public relations fallout was significant. Inside the company, there was an ongoing debate about how to balance cost-saving measures with the need to maintain its reputation as a defender of American workers. Some executives argue that shifting production to Mexico was essential for keeping the company competitive in a globalized market, where labor costs in the U.S. are often prohibitive. However, others within the company expressed concerns about the long-term impact on John Deere's brand image and its relationship with loyal customers. The looming threat of substantial tariffs only added another layer of complexity to these discussions. From a regulatory standpoint, there was considerable speculation about what actions Trump might take in response to John Deere's decision, given his track record of using tariffs as a tool to influence corporate behavior. Industry observers were watching closely for any formal policy proposals or executive actions that could impact not only John Deere, but also other companies. Considering similar moves, the possibility of increased tariffs raised concerns about supply chain disruptions and higher costs for consumers, which could have far-reaching effects on the broader agricultural industry. The reaction from smaller agricultural businesses was mixed. Some saw John Deere's decision as a necessary adaptation to global economic pressures, while others viewed it as a betrayal of American workers. Smaller equipment manufacturers, in particular, were paying close attention to the situation, as it could present opportunities to capture market share if farmers chose to seek alternatives to John Deere products. Industry associations also weighed in, calling for a balanced approach that emphasized the importance of supporting domestic distinct manufacturing while remaining competitive in international markets. Across the corporate world, John Deere's move was being closely watched as a potential precedent for other companies navigating the complexities of globalization. The situation underscored the delicate balance that businesses must strike between cost reduction, political considerations, and public perception. Companies around the world were reassessing their production strategies in light of the growing political pressure and the potential risks of facing a similar backlash. John Deere's rise to global prominence has been the result of decades of strategic expansion. The company's global operations were driven by the need to access emerging markets, reduce production costs, and stay competitive in an increasingly interconnected world. However, this globalization strategy has occasionally put John Deere at odds with U.S. economic policies that prioritize American jobs and manufacturing. Former President Trump's America First agenda, which sought to revitalize U.S. manufacturing, was built around the idea that companies should keep production within the country to support domestic workers. This tension between economic nationalism and the realities of global business is at the heart of the dispute between Trump and John Deere. On one hand, there is a compelling argument for protecting American workers and supporting domestic industries. On the other, companies must navigate global markets to remain competitive, which sometimes requires moving production to locations with lower costs or strategic advantages. This balancing act is made even more complicated by the threat of tariffs and trade barriers, which can disrupt supply chains and raise costs for both businesses and consumers. Historically, tariffs have been a double-edged sword for American agriculture. While they are intended to protect domestic industries, they often provoke retaliatory measures from other countries, affecting U.S. agricultural exports. During Trump's tenure, for example, tariffs imposed on Chinese goods led to a trade war that had significant consequences for American farmers. As the John Deere controversy continues to unfold, the broader implications for U.S. agriculture and manufacturing remain uncertain, and it's clear that the stakes in this battle are higher than ever.